Hello, welcome to our evening show. I'm super excited to have you here. Excited about all the amazing conversation we're going to have right now. Joining us today is a leading English poet of the metaphysical school and also considered the greatest love poet in the English language. And when I say the greatest, I really mean it. As you listen to him, you'll notice the power in his own voice. Today, he will share with us the story of his life. Let's welcome Donne. John, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. I am indeed honored to be here with you.
You were born of Roman Catholic parents, and your mother was the grandniece of Catholic martyr Thomas More. What could you tell us about your childhood? What event marked your life as a child?
I was the third of 6 children. My mum was a lovely mother who had to raise us without my dad's help because he passed away when I was 4 years old.
As you belong to a very Catholic religious family, how was growing up during a strong anti-Catholic period in England? How was your family allowed to support your education?
It was a very hard time for me and my family. I was admitted to the University of Cambridge, but couldn't get my degree because I was Catholic and refused to take the oath of supremacy in which I had to swear allegiance to the monarch as supreme governor of the Church of England. My father also lived out of fear of persecution.
As regards love, I think you have a very good love story to share. You found the love of your life, but your relationship with your father-in-law was really bad, wasn't it? Is it true that he refused to give you the dowry?
Yes, indeed. When I was 25 and worked for Sir Thomas Egerton, who was an officer of the Crown, I fell in love with his niece Anne, and we got married secretly just before Christmas. When Egerton and Anne's father discovered us, they put me into prison. That ruined my career. So when I was released, my wife and I went to live in a small house in Perford. We raised a large family of 12 children, although 3 of them passed away.
It must have been very difficult for you to recover financially after being in prison, losing your job, and now receiving your dowry. As you have 12 children, how did you manage to support your family?
Yes, I have serious financial hardships, but I finally received my dowry. I took advantage of the fashion for courtly poetry, so I sought patronage, and I wrote many of my poems for my wealthy friends or patrons. My growing family forced me to seek the favors of the king, so I wrote 2 pieces against Catholicism, Pseudo-Marte and Ignatius's conclave. My family, even my mother, was still Catholic, but I needed the king's favor.
After your brother Henry died in prison, you began to question your Catholic faith, and this inspired some of your best writings on religion. However, 16 years later, you published your anti-Catholic polemic Pseudo-Marte, renouncing your faith. In it, you argued that Roman Catholics could support King James without compromising their religious loyalty to the Pope. What other events influenced your conversion to Anglicanism?
Yes, after a long period of financial hardship and self-struggle, I accepted the king's wishes and was ordained an Anglican priest in the Church of England. King James was pleased with both texts, but refused to offer me anything other than ecclesiastical offices.
Although the world now knows you as a great poet, you also wrote songs, sermons, sonnets, and prose. The recurring themes as modes of the poems are love, religion, fidelity, the interconnection of humanity, death, separation, and self-love. What inspired you to write this 17th holy sonnet on Thanatos?
The death of my kids were the worst moments of my life. The loss of a child is one of the most terrible things to bear. I almost killed myself. I was very, very depressed. Years later, my wife also died. It was terrible. So I poured out my soul in the poems that I wrote at that time. I considered Thanatos my defense against the common belief that suicide is not against natural rules or God's rules, but the only justifiable act of suicide is one in which the main motive is glory to God.
Your work is distinguished by its emotional and sonorous intensity and its ability to probe the paradoxes of faith, human and divine love, and the possibility of salvation. What could you tell us about Sonnet 10, and also known as Death Be Not Proud?
I wrote words that challenged death and the fear that it inspired in many men. Death Be Not Proud is about my conviction that death has no power over us in eternity. It's just one step we must take in order to live eternally with our families and with God. Death also dies. My only hope is in salvation and immortality through an embrace of God, Christ and the resurrection, where death has no power. I love a song that is based on what I wrote, and I would like to share it with you. Death be not proud that the whole world fear you. Mighty and dreadful you may seem, but death be not proud, for your pride has failed you. You will not kill me, though you may dwell in plague and poison. You're a slave to fate and desperate man. So that if you're asleep in the gate to heaven, by your confidence, when you